Looks like Adam has a new alien friend. Huh, he never wants to wrestle with me. And I am so ready.
May 2007. Wait, that's not right. Well, before May 2007, probably like late 2006 or some shit, Cartoon Network all got together to make something grand. Mouse. Cartoon Network invaded, ladies and gentlemen, where seeing originals of this era faces the same idle threat to the world: aliens. Hey, it's your boy D-Dubman of ReviewYaLife, and I'm here to cover this invasion. So join me in this crusade to stop those damn terrorists. Coming towards the end of the month, April 2007, Cartoon Network had some brief distress sequences for commercials before May came around, so people can be informed that something was up. It involved UFOs with appearing to be dumb life forms inside.
You okay?
Why must every invasion be this way?
But little did we know, Cartoon Network planned something big for us, involving all of these tunes with one concept: giving them alien designs so each show you watch feels connected, and unique bumpers were the sprinkles on top. The premiere date was May 4th, 2007, and it would go from each Friday, episode after episode, until the finale of Memorial Day. So that means 5 new tunes for one whole month. Now with that short summary out the way, I will now review every show's invasion episode, followed by a final summary on the whole block in general. And don't worry guys, I'm not going to try and make this 30 minutes long, so I won't go as in-depth as you like. Sorry. So let's get started with the first chapter of the saga, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. The episode was named Cheese A Go-Go, and it involved Frankie going through a difficult day as usual, involving her peers' shenanigans. Her grandma is in court, Bloo is going to the movies, Ed is at the dentist, etc, etc. But this time, her good old buddy Cheese tags along while repeating this phrase:
Gotta go! Where?
Don't worry, it never gets old. So now she has to handle his retardation on top of her already busy day. Bloo is then convinced that Cheese is an alien life form and is determined to send him back where he belongs. Also, side story, Madam Foster and Jackie Combs are on trial for a sandwich, and the verdict always makes me laugh to this day.
A whole tuna fish sandwich, and in compensation for pain and suffering, chips and a soda. Booyah.
Anywho, Bloo, Cheese, and a drugged out Eduardo terrorize the town with all this alien madness, which eventually leads to Bloo taking over the observatory. Two send a distress signal to the aliens to pick up their Cheese. Frankie stops him, his plans is foiled, and we end off the night while all of her peers she saw today in jail, and Cheese returned home. Frankie is then further annoyed by the fact that even Cheese's owner didn't know what his problem was the entire episode. And everything ends off with extraterrestrials sending a signal towards Earth from out of who knows where. Overall, I'll give this episode a 3 out of 5. It would have been higher if Cheese wasn't in it, but my pure dislike for that character was written when I was younger. But it wasn't a bad episode. Of course I feel bad for Frankie, but she goes through this kind of stuff all the time. Luckily she didn't have to deal with Mr. Harriman. Boy, that would have been bad. So let's move on to chapter 2 of our adventure, Ed, Ned, and Eddy. And let me just clear things up right now. I already give this episode a 5 out of 5, just because it's Ed, Ned, and Eddy. The scene of this episode, The Eds Are Coming, opens up with Jimmy having a wonderful, peace-loving, flamboyant day. Notice how I didn't say gay. We don't discriminate here at ReviewYaLife. Mr. Scully Pettibone, the I'm assuming gay skeleton. Everything immediately goes to shit though, as a giant fucking saw slices the cul-de-sac in half. But luckily for Jimmy,
It was all a dream.
a bad dream at that, induced by eating too many sweets before bedtime. But that doesn't stop his Vietnam flashbacks from haunting him. Meanwhile, Johnny 2x4 is being himself and notices Rose's house having a green glow. Double D and Eddy are doing math equations during winter break, and they overhear Johnny losing it outside over aliens invading Rose's home. And due to Johnny being naturally weird, no one believes him, except for Jimmy, who is convinced after his nightmare. Group then notices the absence of the unibrow Ed boy and suspect that something may be up after all. Their suspicions is then confirmed as a green glob shoots from Rolf's house to a local playground, revealing to be Ed, broken and naked. And that's just enough proof for them to rise up and take on the threat themselves. So they devise a plan, with Kevin as their leader, to infiltrate the aliens taking over Rolf's home. But sadly, Kevin quickly realizes how incompetent everyone is to the mission, and regrets his decisions. But before he bails, the children decide one last plan, baiting the aliens out, with Naz being the casualty. All is resolved when it's revealed to be Rolf as the alien figure in his house, along with the rest of his otherworldly family, visiting for the season. And Ed was just over-exaggerating how different they were. Plus, he's Ed, so commonly he made up the whole alien shtick. Rolf didn't wish for the group to join him in the festivities, but they happily decline. And the episode randomly ends off with the cul-de-sac being dragged out to the outer midst of the galaxy. Overall, this episode was very different art direction wise in the beginning. Other than that, it was just a regular Ed and Eddy episode, in which I always enjoy. I already gave this episode a rating, so let's just move on to Chapter 3, My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Everyone is very unjust on this series, but I really enjoy it due to how relatable the conversations are. This episode, titled Darn Platypus, begins with the power being out in town, and comically the vehicles too, after an unknown glowing object crash landed last night. And Adam's friends have heavy suspicions that it's an alien, but due to them not understanding how the world works in most cases, Adam isn't convinced. It is then revealed that the new student has entered the campus, and every animal there is thrown off by him because of his looks, and suspects him to be an extraterrestrial. But luckily, the new student is none other than Gilbert Gottfried.
Holy fuck, is this wrong?
And woo boy is he annoying. So Adam shows him around school while frightening the students with brain-sucking mumbo-jumbo. While all that's going on, Jake and the rest of the bunch try to devise a plan to eliminate the alien scum. And there's also another side plot with the principals looking into the files of the new students to disclose this madness altogether. But he has to deal with the incompetence of his assistant. In the end, Adam finally gets fed up with Rick's shit and asks him to cut out all the alien jokes. So he does, and becomes a real alien instead, and Adam flips his shit. It is later revealed that the brain juice he was talking about the whole episode was actual juice, and everybody's suspicions remained false. Well, except for Adam, who saw everything firsthand. This episode was kinda weak sauce. There were a few clever jokes from here to there, but the writers stayed true to the show's concept. Godfrey is always a pleasure to witness in animation, but his role in this episode was supposed to be aggravating, and I happily took the bait. 2 out of 5. Now on to Chapter 4, Camp Lazlo. If you like Rocko's Modern Life, you'll love Camp Lazlo. This time around, we have a two-parter for this chapter, strange travel from outer space in the boys' camp, and cheese orbs in the girls' camp. Now the first part of the episode is a Samson episode, so I could give less of a fuck about Samson, so I'm skipping it. If you really want to watch it for yourselves, go ahead, but I'm not gonna drag you through the details though. It's basically
Canadians are weird.
The episode, and the best joke from it is this.
Steaming saffron! You think it makes any difference that those vague background characters believe you? Surely you can do better than that, Samson!
Now the second part, I'll go through gladly because Fuckface isn't in it. After failing the operation to take the cheese from Cap Kentney, the aliens then go to phase 2 of their plan, going across the lake where Acorn Flats was ironically holding a cheese ball. Nina has built an anti-cheese vehicle for Passy since she's allergic to it, but the invention malfunctions and she becomes livid, stating that she's always had it with her science experiments, which makes Nina sad that no one shares her interest. And out of nowhere, bada bing, bada boom, aliens are on the roof. But an unintimidated Nina invites them into her lab instead to hang out. And they're okay with it after she tells them that they could have a motherload of cheese tomorrow night. Patsy is now over the whole invention thing and wants to apologize to Nina, and Nina shrugs her off in favor of her new alien buddies, and she becomes offended by the fact that she's been replaced, and they plan to win her back by any means necessary. All attempts fail though, and she loses hope, but Gretchen had one more risky idea in store. Meanwhile, the best joke of the episode happens.
One of me at the sci-fi convention.
No! I can't take it anymore! Let's vaporize her!
Damn. That was gonna destroy that bitch. In the end, the cheese ball starts, but there's no cheese to be presented because Patsy ate it all to become a mutated mess to win Nina back. And the gesture for her risking dying was just enough for her. aliens don't get no cheese, aliens leave. And that's it for Camp Lazlo. Besides all the scenes Samson was in, I enjoyed this episode. And it actually starts the lore on why the aliens are invading. But they're comically terrible at it. So fuck it. 4 out of 5. Now, for the final chapter. Chapter 5. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. This finale to the series of chapters is the most unique. It's also an hour and a half with bonus features and shit. Plus it's Billy and Mandy, a juggernaut at the time, along with Eddy and Eddy. So it's only up from here. This episode starts off with Billy and Spurg being abducted by aliens and ran experiments on, where they implemented an actual chip in Billy's brain and a bomb in Spurg's. But after that, so much shit happens with the plot that I lost track to explain. Billy's fighting, toys are coming to life, armpit cheese squirting aliens taking over, and Sir Raven telling the story. We are now sent to the second part of the episode where Billy and friends are held hostage and told the aliens takeover scheme, which is to eat everyone on Earth when they become werewolves at night and replace them with cardboard cutouts to obtain their cheese, and then replace the cheese with cardboard cutouts. Genius. Just, why didn't I think of that? Beautiful. But Grim, Billy, Mandy, and Spurg plan to fight back. But due to the writers adding LOL random to the topic of the mission, a lot of stuff just happens. So let me speed things up again. They bust into the command tower, Mandy reprograms robots at some point, aliens turn into werewolves, Spurg chickens out, Billy gets fucked, and Mandy and Grim bail, and they get trapped. We now cut to this emotional sequence of Spurg opening up to Billy and why he bullies people like him, as Billy has a seizure in front of him, which makes him come down to his final life-threatening decision. All hope is lost for the bunch until Grim has had enough and goes through what Billy's stupid plan he had in the first place, a superhero crime-fighting squad. And as they beat off the alien menace, Spurg sings away his final goodbyes as the bomb implanted in his head explodes, and everyone fucking dies. The cast is then replaced with Steven Universe and SpongeBob as they... Oh wait, he's still alive? Yep. Oh, okay. Oh, alright. And everyone lived happily ever after. Man, what a way to end this series of supernatural events. To be honest, I remember enjoying this more as a kid than watching it again right now. My old eyes just can't keep up with all the randomness, you know? And I'm 20, but don't take that as a decline in the episode, because it was still great overall, complete with 2 alternative endings. So Maxwell Adams always knows how to grab you visually. I'm giving this episode a 5 out of 5, ending my review of every individual episode. And now, let's move on to the event in general. That entire month of May 2007 was when my eyes were glued to the TV. I've always got rock hard when I saw crossovers happen, from Jimmy and Timmy's Power Hour to Ninja Turtles meeting Power Rangers, and don't get me started on CN City. Ooh! But seeing this all unfold and connect together was quite the treat, and I'm glad I got to see it when it was on. I'm aware that there's videos on this topic already, shouts out to Northy North, but I didn't watch his videos on the subject in fear of being accused of stealing his jokes, or some other stuff that people might make up. And now Saturday Morning Block Party did a podcast on this as well, so I hope the algorithm works in my favor. I probably took the time to review this because after this, big crossovers were scarce on Cartoon Network building up to now. Sure, there were a couple from here to there, and his 20th birthday was okay and all, but how come the whole network can't get together and make something grand like this again? Individual shows are doing it on their own, but other than that, nothing. Every show doesn't even have a Christmas special back to back like they used to. And by this time, you at least think that Clarence would. But you know, Cartoon Network is currently going to hit their 25th birthday in October this year, and they're probably doing something big, and I'm just a fuckwit. So whatever, I guess. Cartoon Network Invaded gets an 8 out of 10, which concludes my review of this crossover event. Footage for this video wouldn't have been possible without YouTuber Mr. Nostalgia. He posts nostalgic animation memorabilia on his channel, like this.
Before these classic characters were big stars, they were, little. Guided by the watchful eye of Granny.
And unlike any other person who does that, he's just low-key, a chill dude. He's now gonna be my personal go-to guy for old school shit not found on the internet, because he has a team of ISIS hackers helping him find it. So don't steal him from me. The next major review and season 2 finale of ReviewYaLife will be Sweet Life with Zack and Cody, which will be my first live action topic, so it's sure to be interesting. So subscribe for a backflip, and I don't even have to tell you about this. and try not to get abducted. This has been D-Dubman of Review Your Life. This video is sponsored by Channel Frederator. See ya!